Hey guys, today I want to talk about white privilege.
White privilege? Oh boy!
You know, every time I bring up white privilege on the internet, I always have people who come to me and they're like, white privilege isn't a thing. And the reason they give me why white privilege isn't a thing is because they have to go to work every day and work hard and they're not rich, and sometimes they say a cop was a dick to them once.
Well, given that, at least in my experience, white privilege constitutes having easy access to the best jobs, an ease of access to gaining and accruing wealth, and essentially a free pass when it comes to interacting with law enforcement, then yes, those would be decent counterpoints to an accusation of possessing white privilege. Unless you're going to redefine the term.
And that's their reason of why they don't have white privilege. When really 95% of society, I would probably say, that isn't a grown-up has to get a job. Most of us have to work hard. Most of us don't make a shit ton of money, and we have to make, you know, we have to work hard for not a shit ton of money. Like, that's not what white privilege is.
Oh! So you are going to offer us a definition of white privilege outside of the classic term? Excellent. I love surprises.
I see a lot of people, a lot of white people, no offense.
None taken.
You know, people, they seem to think I hate white people. I'm a white person. Like, I'm married to a white person. Like, I don't hate white people. But some white people need to wake up. Like...
Yeah, it's a real shame how some white people just won't wake up. If only they could be as woke as our speaker says she is.
Well, I'm gonna, you know, do a video kind of dipping my toe into the water a little bit into what white privilege is.
Oh, I am so ready to take a dive with you, girlfriend. Let's begin.
To quote Tim Wise, which I am a fan of.
Which you are a fan of. Don't you mean whom you are a fan of? Otherwise, you're turning Tim Wise into an object. Are you objectifying Tim Wise?
And to quote him, when we do not acknowledge white privilege, we not only continue to do an injustice to people of color, but we actually do damage to white people as well.
Well, this is why I need you to tell me what white privilege really is. I mean, I cannot acknowledge something that I am not aware of unless the enlightened few tell me what I am supposed to believe is real. You know, like going to church.
Living and having white privilege does not mean that you have the easiest life. It means that you have some privileges based on the color of your skin that other people do not.
Right. And you've already taken employment, wealth, and freedom from law enforcement off the table. So, what's left?
When you are a member of the dominant group, the white group, you don't spend your time really thinking about your skin color. You don't spend your time thinking of what the color of your skin is going to play into every situation. If the color of your skin is going to keep you from getting a job, keep you from getting housing, keep you from being judged, keep you from being harmed. You don't even think about it. You go out, you walk the street, and you don't even think about it.
So, wait a second. White privilege really means having the option to not be racially self-conscious and racially paranoid? So, non-white people cannot be anything else than racially self-conscious and racially paranoid? So, Are you attributing certain skin colors with inherent thought patterns? Because that sounds kinda racist.
When you're a member of the dominant group, you do not spend your time trying to figure out how you fit in, trying to modify yourself to act like another culture in order to fit in.
Really? I have never had to think about how I fit in with other people around me. Golly, I guess those awkward school years of personal insecurity and ridicule by other kids are just a figment of my imagination. Yay!
You don't worry about if you're going to be represented in this situation or what privileges you might not have in this situation. You don't think about it because you don't have to think about it. And that in itself is white privilege.
Right. White people can think one way, non-white people cannot help but think another way. Got it.
And people tend to get so offended when we bring up white privilege. There are white people who get so offended when you bring it up, like you're blaming them for personally being the reason it exists.
Well, white privilege wouldn't be an accusation you would levy against a non-white person, would it? White privilege wouldn't be a thing without white people, would it? So, yeah. How would a white person not take such a thing personally?
I'm not personally the reason it exists.
So, you are denying your own complicity in the perpetuation of white privilege? Shame on you.
You're not personally the reason it exists, but we can all work together and take steps to try to make it stop existing.
Really? Okay, well, if white privilege means to not be thinking about and worrying about one's own skin color all the time, then the cure for white privilege must be to self-impose racial self-consciousness and racial paranoia. Right?
Right?
So I've put together a list of places in life where I reap the benefits of white privilege. And I'm hoping by putting this video out that people will be able to relate to it and maybe even open some eyes and open some minds.
Finally, some specifics. All right? I am all ears.
As a white person, when I stay in a hotel, they provide me with little bottles of shampoo and conditioner that generally work for my hair texture. They're free. I don't have to go out anywhere. I know when I get to that hotel, they're gonna have soap and hair products that are going to work for me.
Privilege number 1. Hotel hair products. Hotel hair products that generally work for you. Got it.
I can go to the grocery store, almost every grocery store, and know that I'm gonna find little travel size bottles of shampoo and conditioner for my hair. I don't have to buy a full-size bottle. I know that my needs are gonna be met in that travel section.
Privilege number 2. Travel shampoo at the grocery store. Got it.
As a white person, when I want hair care products in general, I know that they're gonna be listed in the aisle marked hair care products, not off to a little corner in the side marked ethnic products.
Privilege number 3. Hair care product placement in a store. Got it.
As a white woman, I can go to a drugstore and know that I'm not gonna have any problem finding a foundation that matches my skin tone.
Privilege number 4. Drugstores never carry makeup for use by anyone other than white people. Got it.
I can go to the store as a white woman and buy a nude pair of pantyhose and know that they're gonna have a nude pair of pantyhose that is very similar to my leg color.
Privilege number 5. Nude colored pantyhose that are very similar to one's skin color. Now, setting aside the fact that nude is the name of a specific color and not a description of the intended recipient. Well, I'm sure that that's what she meant. So, got it.
As a white person, I have never once been afraid that when a cop was pulling me over, that it might end with him shooting me.
But you already took encounters with law enforcement off the table. White people can have neutral to semi-negative interactions with police, and that does not constitute white privilege, per your own definition.
If I go into a building as a white person and bomb it or shoot it up, the headlines will say that I was mentally ill. They will probably use a picture from my college graduation. They won't label me a terrorist. They won't look for the worst picture that they can possibly find of me to post on the media. The story will probably be along the lines of, she was a good girl. Where did it all go wrong? We don't know what drove her to this. She had a mental illness that needed to be taken care of.
Okay. That is a weird example. So, it is a privilege to be thought of as crazy, rather than being classified as a terrorist after committing a violent act. Well, I guess it depends on whether you leave a note outlining your intentions as a political statement, or whatever you might be screaming before you commit such a crime. Because it really is understanding one's motive that separates a terrorist from a purely insane person.
As a white person, I've gone to the airport many times. I've never assumed I was going to be pulled out of line and double-checked because of my skin color, nor have I ever even been pulled out of line.
So, you have never had it happen to you. And thus, it never happens to any white people. Got it. Okay, guys, our speaker goes on for another 3 minutes or so, listing off the things in life she thinks make up white privilege, after defining white privilege as a state of mind, rather than a set of life experiences. It is all very convincing. And I am entirely willing to stipulate that our speaker does possess a litany of privileges in life, most of which originate from being a resident of the United States. But remember, kids, the only way to defeat white privilege is to know that you are white, to acknowledge that you are white, to think about the color of your skin every minute of every single day, in every interaction you have. And so when someone accuses you of having white privilege, you can say, "Oh no, I don't. I know I'm white, so I've cured myself." Golly, I love science. As always, thank you for watching.